Right.
Okay, well, the first thing I can remember about being evacuated was when a notice went on the blackboard telling us what clothes to take. And the boys thought it was very funny that the girls had a list of clothes, including things like Liberty bodices, which were what held your stockings up, because you didn't have tights. And Liberty bodices were very warm and comfortable, and they had buttons on to attach your stockings to, and the boys thought that very funny. And then when the day came, we had our gas masks on over our shoulders. They were kept in a cardboard box, and you had a label on with your name. So the train took you, long train journey, and we ended up in South Wales. We didn't know where we were going.
Where did you come from?
From Birmingham. Ended up in South Wales, and then we were decanted into a school where there were people waiting who were going to adopt us, or not adopt us, but foster us while we were living in there. And there was me and another girl, also called Sheila, and we were nearly the last to be picked out. And we were taken to this house. It turned out we were in a mining village called Herwin, very important row of villages which produced a lot of coal. And we were settled in there. I can remember a number of things about the house was that we were always very hungry. The people didn't give us enough to eat, although they got special ration allowances for us. This would be about 1940, I think, because the war had begun, and my little brother had been born, and I was very sad at having to leave him at home in Birmingham. At any rate, the welfare officer found out that the two of us had got fleas and nits, and we weren't very clean and happy. So we were moved after a little while. But I can remember one night sleeping in a big bed with Sheila and them dropping landmines on us, which made a terrible noise, bang. And we were very frightened. And the Germans were bombing South Wales because of the coal, you see. The miners needed to get the coal out to the factories, and they bombed the villages, the mines, the railway, everything. Then after that I was moved to another family, a couple who were Welsh speaking, who spoke a bit of English. They had no children of their own, and Sunday was a funny day because you weren't allowed to read a book or anything, only the Bible. And of course that happened to be in Welsh. But anyway, the evacuees all met on a Sunday. We had to go to chapel, but we had great fun actually, because we all sat up together in the gallery of the chapel and we played marbles till we were found out. Now this couple, as I say, they had no children and they really looked after me beautifully. I had lovely clothes made for me, specially made for me, clothes I'd never had before. And they had a nephew who came to visit. He was great fun. Now, living in a colliery town, we didn't have a bathroom. They lit the fire on a Friday night, and the bath was filled with warm water, and you had your bath then. And that was it. And then at weekends, some of the teachers used to take us out on walks, and it was lovely countryside round about. And in the autumn we collected rose hips to make rose hip syrup, which was vitamin C for babies. And we climbed mountains. And I remember one day we were in a river, following a river, and we ended up the river had a little waterfall, and we ended up standing behind the waterfall on a ledge. And we had great fun. Most of our lessons were in Welsh, but then our own teachers took charge of us, and we had some lessons in English. And when I came home eventually, I could speak Welsh. In fact, one day in chapel I had to say the 23rd Psalm in Welsh. I couldn't do it now. What else?
So did you see your parents at all?
My father used to come occasionally on his motorbike, but I didn't see my mother and my brother for ages.
For how long were you there for?
Well, it must have been about 18 months, because at that time I was rising 11. Grammar school was on the horizon. And I remember one day just being taken away into a room at school and given, the exam papers to do. Well, I passed the 11 plus, not all the fuss there is nowadays. And I would have gone to the local grammar school in Wales. But my parents didn't want me to stay in Wales. So eventually I came home and went to a grammar school in Birmingham. And then I got scarlet fever very badly. And I was off school for months. At any rate, I went back and picked up all the time. I don't think I was a very good pupil. I was always in trouble.
I can't believe that, can you? And so how was the rest of the war in Birmingham?
Well, that was interesting. You see, I'd lived through landmines in South Wales.
Yes.
And then they started bombing Birmingham.
Are you listening?
And we had some very close bombs dropped on us in Harborne, where I lived. My father was a member of Dad's army because he was he worked for a metal firm which produced aluminium, which was very, very important. And he was on duty in Dad's army at night. And one night they dropped a number of incendiary bombs all over us, and in the road, mainly in the road, and some on the roof of the houses. And nearby there was a convent, and the convent was badly hit and was on fire, and the nuns wouldn't let the men in, you see. Anyway, they did have to get in eventually and put the fire out. And then another night I remember was when they bombed Coventry very badly. And at the same time they bombed Birmingham, the Bull Ring, and we would be about 5 miles from the centre of Birmingham. You could see the fire
And how old were you then?
Well, I'd be about 11 or 12.
12,
yes. And our school was bombed, so we had no heating in it. We all went to school in the winter, no heating,
No
and
heating.
you weren't allowed to wear your coat. Because they used to be very strict on school uniform. And what upset me is that they bombed the biology laboratory and the goldfish all died. We had a big tank of goldfish and they all died.
Oh dear. Very sad. What other questions have you got for Grandma?
How did you enjoy being evacuated?
Yes, I suppose we did, because you had school friends with you and we all did things together at the weekend. But I did miss my baby brother, because I did like him.
Yes. Good. Thank you.